just guise of build the wall. He was living high on the hog, living on a yacht while people were contributing to that Fugazi cause that they kept putting out there. Glenn, I want to talk about this short-term injunction, you know, this standoff between the current president and the former president. This is going to 3 judges who were randomly selected. It's Patricia Millett, an Obama appointee, Robert Wilkins, an Obama appointee, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, she's an appointee by President Biden, who will decide on the short-term injunction over the National Archives. We all know Ketanji Brown Jackson is on the short list of people who would be considered for a Supreme Court position. A lot of eyes will be on this case as arguments get underway. What do you anticipate from this panel of 3 judges, Glenn?
Yeah, so 3 excellent judges with strong track records. And what I'm really heartened by, Tiffany, is, you know, people got dispirited when they saw that the appellate court issued a stay. They temporarily blocked the documents from going from the National Archives to the House Select Committee after Judge Tanya Chutkan delivered that really blockbuster, well-reasoned, strong opinion saying Donald Trump doesn't have executive privilege. It's Joe Biden's privilege to use, and he has declined to use it. And then everybody sort of was deflated because the appellate court has come in and temporarily blocked it. I take a different view. First of all, Judge Chutkan decided this issue at light speed within weeks. Now, what has the appellate court done? They have set this on an extremely expedited track. They've set oral arguments on the appeal for November 30th, 2 weeks down the road. This harkens back to the Nixon days. In 1974, when the subpoena was issued for Nixon's tapes, that was in April of 74. That was litigated in the trial court, litigated in the appellate court, and litigated by the Supreme Court. And just 4 months later, in July of 74, the Supreme Court said, Mr. President, give over the tapes. There can be timely litigation through the courts if the courts are determined to engage in timely litigation. It seems like both in the way Judge Chutkan resolved it and in the expedited track that the appellate court has now placed this litigation, it seems like maybe the courts have wised up and maybe the courts are done letting nefarious litigants like Donald Trump weaponize the court delay to run out the clock, because Donald Trump rarely, if ever, has a meritorious lawsuit to bring. He's always trying to weaponize the delay, and it looks like his luck might have run out.
And Donald Trump constantly incriminates himself. You give this man enough rope, he hangs himself. Malcolm, take a listen to this interview. I'm sure our viewers have heard it all week, between him and Jonathan Karl. This was recorded months ago, but Jonathan Karl just released it at the same time as the release of his book. Take a listen and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Were you worried about him during that siege? Were you worried about his safety?
No, I thought he was well protected, and I had heard that he was in good shape. Mm-hmm. No, because I had heard he was in very good shape. But no.
You heard those chants. That was terrible. I mean, it was, you know,
he could have. Well, the people were very angry.
They were saying, "Hang Mike."
Because it's common sense, John. It's common sense that you're supposed to protect. How can you, if you know a vote is fraudulent, right? Yeah. How can you pass on a fraudulent vote to Congress?
So never mind. I've heard a lot of my colleagues say how surprised they were at this. You know, if any of us who were paying attention, this man has constantly provoked, welcomed, and invited violence from his time on the campaign trail to his time in the White House. But more importantly, you heard what he said, Malcolm. I was getting information. I heard that he was in good shape. Well, who are you getting information from? This is what this fight is about with the National Archives, right? What do you anticipate? Who do you think he was talking to, considering all the bad actors around him?
Well, I mean, he was getting communications from Mark Meadows, but you also have to understand the president gets information from the Secret Service's operations center because he has communications with the head of the detail. That detail can pass things on to the ops center, which passes it on directly to the White House, because it is the #2 person in the United States with a nuclear-coated football with him, not to mention has complete Secret Service protection, and the president of the United States was hearing from him probably from Mike Pence himself, was hearing from the detail, was hearing from, Mark Meadows, his chief of staff. There are numerous lines of communication which have to be investigated here. The important thing is, when Donald Trump was sitting in the White House and he was getting these feeds of data, knowing, watching with his own eyes, over 10,000 people lay siege to the building, as many as 2,000 people entering the building, shouting, "Hang Mike Pence," he didn't care about him physically because he had heard he was secure. He understood the intimidation factor for Mike Pence was happening. And his entire line of reasoning is, Mike Pence should submit and give me the election. This man is dangerous.
Dangerous and continues to be. And we should remind our viewers that that phone call that Donald Trump had with Ratzenberger down in Georgia was orchestrated by his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, when he essentially asked, "Can you guys help me cheat?" So this is going to be a case that we will be watching unfold, I imagine, for the months to come. So you guys will both have to come back and help us make sense of it all. Thank you so much, Malcolm Nance and Glenn Kirshner. Don't go in at home, though, because coming up, the real reason everyone says the country is so divided right now. Spoiler alert. It's about race. We'll get into that when we come back. Stay tuned.